All right, Shalom, your brother Shamar from the Phoenix camp. And with that being said, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work in true sincerity. I'm going to jump right into the lesson. This is 1 Corinthians 10 and 31. It says, whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do all to the glory of the Most High. So it says, whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do. So every decision, every action you take, you got to have the conscience. You got to have the mentality that you're doing it to the glory of the Most High, man. So that means that you gotta be sincere. That means you gotta move circumspectly. That means you gotta move with integrity. That means you gotta, to the best of your ability, man, just be on point as you can in all things. Because this is what makes us great. Our obedience to the scriptures is what makes us a great people. I'm gonna get that scripture real quick. This is Deuteronomy 4 and 7, and it says, "For what nation, talking about the nation of Israel, so-called Black Latins, Native Americans, is there so great, who has Yahweh so nigh unto them, as the Most High our power is in all things that we call upon Him for? And what nation is there so great?" And this is what makes us great, man. The laws, statutes, and commandments that were given to us specifically by the Most High, that statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day. So this is what it means in 1 Corinthians 10 and 31. Well, see, if you do it to the glory of the Most High, because if you're doing it to the glory of the Most High, you're following the law, statutes, and commandments. You're being on point with everything you do. And if you read the law, statutes, and commandments, basically they give you a order, they give you a code for every aspect of your life. There was a moral code inside the scriptures. There was a legal code. And this is what makes us a great people. This is what makes us men of the Lord. This is what makes us the princes of the power, man. You got to think about what that really means. A prince of the power. So a prince of the power has to act accordingly, man. He has to act great. And how to become great? How does he do everything to the glory of the Most High? By being in order, because that's essentially what the law is. The law is order, man. So only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thy eyes have seen, and lest thou depart from thy heart all the days of life, but teach them to thy sons and thy sons' sons. So this was very important, man, that we continued in the righteousness and order that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai gave unto us. With that, I'm gonna get Ephesians the 6th chapter. This is Ephesians the 6th chapter, and it says Ephesians 6, and I'll start at verse 1. And this goes into obedience, going to the 10 commandments, and it basically the law, obedience. It says, "Children, obey your parents in the Most High, for this is right. And our spiritual parents are elders and apostles. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment, was promised, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth." And that makes you great, man. "And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in nurture and admonition of the Most High." Let's get that word, nurture, training. "Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters, according to the flesh, with fear and trembling and singleness of your heart, as unto Yahushai. Not as eye service and man please, but as the servants of Yahushai, doing the will of the Most High from the heart, with good will, doing service as to the Lord and not to men." So whatever we do in this life, man, we got to do it. We got to be sincere about it, with good will, doing service to the Lord, not to men, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Most High, whether he be bond or free. So this is what they call the law of karma, man. Whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Most High. The world calls it karma, but this is a spiritual code that the Most High has set, man. You do good, you receive good. Judge not lest any be judged. Treat your neighbor like yourself, so on and so forth. The moral code that was set by the Most High, man. And your masters do the same thing unto them, forbearing, threatening, knowing that your master also in heaven, neither their respective persons with him. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. That's what's going to make us great, man. That what makes us a great people. That's how we do everything to the glory of the Most High, man. And this is the mentality that we constantly got to strive for. If you go to Ephesians, I tell you basically put on the spiritual armor, and that's another thing too to be mindful of all the time, man. But I'm gonna continue on with the scriptures that I have. It's Titus 2:7. Scriptures about just keeping these things of sincerity, of code of conduct, of morality, of acting and being a certain way, as a man of the Lord. It says, I'll start at let's see, I'll start at verse 6. It says, young men likewise exhort to be sober minded. So let's get the word sober mind. Let's get the word sober. Let's get a definition for that. It says sober, not affected by alcohol, not drunk. Make her become sober, drinking alcohol, that call be sober and mump. Uh, it says sober. This is what I'm looking for right here. It says make her become more serious, sensible, and solemn. That's what it is, man. Serious, sensible, and solemn. Common sense, man. Thinking correctly. That's what sober means. So I want to back again. Young men likewise exhort to be sober and to be sober minded. Let's get that word exhort, man. To call one side, to call for someone to address, to speak, to admonish, to beg, to entreat, to strive, to appeal, to console, to encourage, to strengthen. So we should exhort ourselves one another to be serious minded about this truth, to be serious minded about our conduct, as men of the Lord. In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works, setting an example, acting correctly. Because how do you set an example? By acting the way you're supposed to act, by living up to the code that you're supposed to live up to in this truth, man. It's more than just putting on a garment and going out there on the highways and hedges on Saturday and calling Esau a devil. It's more than chalawamming a brother, man. It's your personal life that you got to examine and correct. It says, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works and doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity. Let's get these words, man. Uncorruptness, integrity. Yeah, that's it right there, man. Gravity, reverence, and sincerity. Incorruptibility, man. So you have to strive to have a perfect walk. That's why it's called a straight gate, because it's difficult for the majority of the world to strive for these attributes, man. And we as men of the Lord, as men that have been given this truth, must strive to the best of our ability to walk after these attributes. It says, sound speech that cannot be condemned. He that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. So no one should be able to say anything bad about you, man. No one should be able to say, well, he's this and he always that, and he does this, but he says that. You gotta. That's how do you do that though? How do you do that? By living up to a code, by setting an example first and foremost for yourself, man, and then to the brothers around you. It says, exhort servants to be obedient to their own masters and pleasing well in all things, not answering again, not purloining. Let's tell you a code of conduct, man. Let's get the word purloin. Set apart, separate oneself, purloin, and build, withdraw, covertly appropriate to one's own use, to embezzle, to sequest. But showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of Yahweh our Savior in all things. For the grace of Yahweh that bringeth salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, so that's talking about self-control and temperance, man. We should live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present world. So how do you strive to live in the spirit? It's teaching you gotta deny yourself of things, man. Deny yourself of certain so-called pleasures. And that goes back to discipline and self-control and being an austere man, just like Yahweh Shai was, man. Looking for that blessed hope and glorious appearing, the great power in our Savior, Mashiach Yahweh Shai. So with that, I'm going to get 2 Corinthians 1 and 12, man. This is 2 Corinthians 1 and 12. And it says, for our rejoicing is this, the testimony of our conscience, that in simplicity and godly sincerity, not with fleshly wisdom, by the grace of Yahweh, we had our conversation in the world, and more abundant to your word. So that's talking about sincerity, man. Not with fleshly wisdom, walking in the spirit, walking according to the code, the moral code that's written in the Bible, not with the fleshly or worldly wisdom. We know because those are two different things. The world has its own moral code, and it's absolutely corrupt. The scriptures have its own moral code, and that's the one that we should be following. So that gives you a separation right there of how to be. What's that? I'm gonna get Joshua 24:14. This is Salak. Joshua 24:14. And it says, now therefore fear the Most High, and serve him in sincerity and truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve you the Most High. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Most High, show you this day whom you will serve. So yeah, you gotta stand up for something, man. You gotta stand up for this code, this moral code, this standard. Whether the it says, and it seem evil unto you to serve the Most High, show you this day whom you will serve. Whether the gods which your fathers served that were outside the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in the whose land you dwell, but as me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So there's got to be a stand taken, and as we go on these latter days, that stand to serve the Lord is going to be a more harder and harder path. Because we know what's coming, man. We know that the MOTB is coming. We know the mandatory of the jab's coming. Jab being mandatory. We know martial law is coming. We know there's going to be a distinction that if you don't fall into Esau's program and you stand to serve the Lord, you're gonna be tested on that. So we have to meditate on how we stand in this truth. That's what the scriptures say. Know you not yourself. That's what scriptures say. Examine yourself, man. So personal reflection is of great importance. You always check your own behaviors, man. Always check your own behaviors. Always examine yourself on a daily basis. And that's how you discipline yourself and put yourself in order, man. Because that's the only way we're gonna survive in the things to come. We gotta build our order now. We gotta build our faith now. We gotta build our knowledge and wisdom for spiritual times now. And we have opportunity now to do so. So there is a code. There is a way to be. There is a way to act. There is a way to be a man in the truth. There is a way to do things, and if you're not doing this way, if you're not striving to the best of your ability to follow this way, this code, then you might stumble and fall off this truth, man. Plain and simple. The Lord demands reverence. The Lord demands service. The Lord demands obedience. He demands that you take a stand for what He gave unto us. With that being said, just a real quick lesson. Most High willing and hope was edifying. With that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Call halal Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Brothers, keep on pushing. Shalom.